Hi, I'm Dina and I'm 19. A month ago, I found out that I was bought for $3 million. Here's how it happened. I lived in a huge house with a man. His name is Jim. He's 36 years old, very rich, and not my biological father. He became my guardian when I was about 5. I do not remember my parents. Jim told me that he took me from an orphanage. Dad, that is, Jim, has few friends and I'm enough for him. True, he doesn't like when I call him Dad. He always asks that I call him by name. Jim and I lived like the most ordinary family until my 18th birthday, until one night I noticed him sitting by my bed. He just looked at me while I was sleeping. And then he got very embarrassed that he was caught and left without explanation. The next morning, he forbade me to call him father because we are not even relatives. He wanted to say something else, but stopped short and said nothing. Since then, our relationship has become strained, but Jim was always kind and affectionate to me. I've only once seen his rage. It happened about 6 months ago when Mike appeared at the gate of our house, a guy with whom I had been chatting online for several months, but had never met in real life. Jim told the guards not to let him in and went out to him himself. He returned very angry and forbade me from seeing him anymore. In the morning, I couldn't even find Mike's account on the network. It seemed to have evaporated. Sometimes Jim's business partners would come over. On one of those evenings, I found out everything. There were 5 people hanging out there that night. Of them, I knew only Brian, the youngest of his friends, who always looked at me strangely. His gaze made you feel naked. He terribly embarrassed me. This time, the meeting dragged on late into the night, and while everyone was in the office, I went out into the garden. Hearing footsteps, I turned around. I saw Brian and smelled the strong scent of whiskey. He was very drunk and was talking some nonsense, touching either my hand or my hair or my waist. When I finally tried to leave, he aggressively pulled me into him. "Who are you pretending to be?" he said. "I know everything about you, and about Jim. This fool bought you for $3 million from that crazy... Maybe I'll buy you. Tell me your price." I looked at him silently and didn't understand. "You don't believe me?" he continued. "Here's the name and address for you. Go ask for yourself. Although, why am I telling you? You may be beautiful, but clearly you're just as crazy." And he stumbled towards the house. All night, his words ran through my head. I remembered every single one. The name that he shouted into my face, and the address. The next day, when Jim left, I went to the bus station. If I wasn't mistaken, only an hour by bus separated me from either the drunken delirium or terrible truth that Brian had told me. The house looked abandoned, but when I knocked, someone answered. "It's open." It was dark and damp inside. In a chair sat some old woman. She saw me and said, "Rosie, I'm glad you came back." I spent 30 minutes there, but the woman didn't say anything to me again. She was clearly out of her mind. I was about to leave, but lingered at a photograph on the wall. It was of her, but much younger, and next to her was a girl about my age, and another girl, little, about 4 years old. That girl was me. I had one single photo from my past life given to me by Jim as a child. There I sat on a white pony, and I definitely recognized the baby in the photo on the wall. Me! I took the photo to demand an explanation from Jim, but when I came out of the house, his black limousine was already waiting for me. I had never seen Jim so scared. On the way home, he told me everything. When he was my age, he dated a girl. Her name was Rosie. Her mother was against their relationship, and since she had an influence on her daughter, she soon stopped seeing him and they broke up. 5 years later, Jim found out that Rosie was gone, but her daughter remained. There were rumors, and many accused the mother of the accident that happened to her daughter. Then, Jim showed up again in our house. When he saw me, he decided that the same fate awaited me. I was discouraged and scared, shaking and afraid of everything in the world. He asked my mother to let him take care of me. She laughed and told him that she wanted $3 million to end this and no longer see Jim. A few months later, he returned with money. He took me and settled a bunch of questions so that the strings from my past would never overwhelm me in the future. So I grew up and more reminded Jim of his Rosie, both in appearance and character. He never wanted this to happen, but he can do nothing about his feelings. He loves me very much, but in a way, a father would love his daughter. It seems to me that I feel something for him, but he's 36 and I'm only 19 and I don't know what to do. What should I do? Stay with Jim or leave for an independent new life? Write in the comments what you would do in my place.
Hi everybody, I'm Lizzie, I'm 22 years old, and I'm dating a dwarf. I know what you're thinking, why are you doing this, and how do you even live with him? I'm gonna tell you our story. Okay, so you're probably gonna laugh, but my boyfriend's name is Peter, and he's 3 feet 5 inches tall. And I'm a pretty tall girl. I'm around 5 feet 10 inches. Well, at least there's no uncomfortable high-heeled shoes in my closet or anything like that. But of course we have our challenges, but the main one is the attitude of other people. When Peter and I walk into public together, they look at us and point fingers, and some even take pictures and have recorded videos. We feel like monkeys at the zoo, like even when we're walking around the zoo. It's so unpleasant. Once we were at a dinner in a restaurant and I went into the bathroom. While I was doing my makeup in the mirror, a girl came up to me and actually started asking questions about my intimate bedroom life. I mean, just imagine, okay, a stranger approaches you and asks whether it's comfortable for you to kiss your man. And yeah, this girl really thought that I'd answer her. I didn't. But you know what? Today, I'm gonna answer this question. The answer is yes, I do feel comfortable kissing my man. I mean, why not? After all, Michael Jordan also leans in to kiss his woman, and it doesn't amaze anyone. And another problem is living together. The furniture in my house is too high for my boyfriend, like to shave. He stands on a stool, and the only way that he can see himself in the mirror is to stand on a stool. So Peter takes the same stool to get mugs and plates from the kitchen cabinet, and to turn on a light in the room, Peter uses a tennis racket. The only way he can reach the switch. When I'm in Peter's house, I feel like Snow White visiting the dwarves. The kitchen tables are too low, and when I cook, I have to bend over, and so it hurts my back. And the bathroom is very small. I only fit in it with my knees bent, and I'm constantly like bumping my head against the shower head or this almost to the ceiling. My boyfriend can't use my car. His feet don't reach the pedals. He has his own car, but it's like custom modified for his special size. And I can't drive such a car because I just don't fit in the front seat. So if we go to a party, then we agree in advance who's gonna be driving. And then we'll swap because the other partner, if they're drunk, you know, it's not an option to drive. There are even more problems in public that I never even noticed before, but apparently our world is very inconvenient for people with special needs. In the metro, Peter can't reach the handrails in an elevator, you know, the upper buttons, and withdrawing money for Peter is a real problem because the ATMs are too high. Peter hardly reaches the keypad, and he can barely see the screen. In bars, Peter and I can always sit at tables because of the chairs at the counter are high, so we can't use bar stools. In stores, Peter can't get any products from the top shelves. In the gym, he can't get the bar off the rack. Everyday moments, there are a lot of them, but we can overcome them. You know, just a little understanding, a little patience, a bit more cooperation. They all make for a great recipe for a successful relationship. And yes, Peter's height is only 3 feet 5 inches, but so what? Peter is a wonderful person. He's smart, reliable, and kind. I know that I can come to him with any problem, and Peter will definitely help. 6 months ago, I was hit by a car. Okay, I sustained serious injuries. My mom couldn't even come and help me. My friends were too busy, but Peter moved in with me and took care of me every day. He cooked me food, he washed my clothes, and he cleaned the house. And when I was sad, Peter made me laugh, and, you know, when I wanted to talk, he always found time to talk and listen. These are the actions of a real man, a real boyfriend, and how tall he is, it's irrelevant to me. I mean, how tall are you? Write in the comments your height and the height of your other half. thank you all who listened to my story. And remember, don't judge people or a relationship based on appearance.